The stars look different from this part of the galaxy. Dr. Aaron Miller noted this as he stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Horizon *. For 6 years, he had studied alien biology, but never had he seen anything like the strange signals coming from the Vega sector. Aaron rubbed his tired eyes. The message patterns didn't make sense. They were too regular, too controlled. Natural communication always had variation, but these signals were almost mechanical in their precision. Still at it, Doctor. Captain Lisa Ford walked onto the deck, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. Something's wrong with these signals, Captain, Aaron said, pointing to his datapad. Every species we've encountered has unique communication patterns. These are too uniform, like they're all reading from the same script. Lisa frowned. The Galactic Council says it's just a cultural similarity. They've ordered us to move on. Since when do we take orders from the Council without question? Aaron asked. Lisa smiled slightly. We don't. That's why I've adjusted our course. We'll reach the outer edge of the Vega system in 6 hours. Thank you, Captain. Alarm bells rang through the ship, jerking Aaron awake. He had fallen asleep at his station. The intercom crackled. All science officers to the bridge. We have an unidentified vessel approaching. When Aaron reached the bridge, the main screen showed a small battered ship drifting toward them. Life signs. Lisa asked the sensor officer. 12 passengers. Andorian, according to their biology. They're sending a distress signal. Put it through. The screen flickered to show a blue-skinned Andorian, his antennae drooping with exhaustion. Help us, please. We are refugees. The Xorelians mustn't find us. Xorelians? Lisa asked. Why are you running from them? They control everything. Everyone. The Andorian looked over his shoulder fearfully. They use a drug. They call it obedience. 1 dose and you belong to them forever. Aaron stepped forward. That's impossible. Mind control drugs are banned throughout the galaxy. They hide it. The Council is already under their control. The Andorian's voice dropped. They've conquered half the galaxy without firing a shot. Lisa ordered the refugee ship brought into their cargo bay. Aaron met the Andorians as they disembarked. Their leader, who introduced himself as Selleck, was thin and trembling. How did you escape? Aaron asked as he led them to the medical bay. Our planet was just being infiltrated. Some of us realized what was happening when our leaders suddenly changed their policies overnight. We stole a ship and ran. Selleck's voice shook. My own wife tried to stop me. Her eyes were empty. She wasn't there anymore. The ship's doctor, Helen Wright, scanned the Andorians. They're clean of any known narcotics, but their stress levels are off the charts. Selleck grabbed Aaron's arm. You don't understand. The Xorelians look like any other species. They infiltrate governments, add their drug to water supplies, food. Then they walk in and take control. If this is true, Lisa said, why haven't we heard anything about it? Because they're careful. They've been doing this for centuries, planet by planet. And now they control the Council itself. The ship's alarm blared again. Kevin Ross, the chief engineer, called from the bridge. Captain, 3 warships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're hailing us. Everyone rushed to the bridge. On the screen, a tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 eyes stared at them. Research vessel Horizon *, the alien said smoothly. This is Commander Krell of the Xorelian fleet. You have stolen property aboard your ship. Prepare to be boarded. Lisa stepped forward. Those refugees requested asylum. Under galactic law. The law? Krell laughed. How quaint. Your ship is now under Xorelian control. Resistance will result in your destruction. As the transmission ended, Aaron watched 3 massive warships surround the Horizon *. He looked at Selleck, whose antennae were flat against his head in terror. What happens now? Aaron asked quietly. Now, Selleck whispered, You learn what it means to face the empire that has enslaved the stars. The Xorelian soldiers marched through the corridors of the Horizon with precision. Their gray skin seemed to absorb the light, and their 4 eyes missed nothing as they herded the human crew into the main cargo bay. Commander Krell studied the humans with interest. He had conquered 17 species, but this was his first encounter with humans. "You will all be processed now," Krell announced. "The procedure is simple and painless." Captain Lisa Ford stepped forward. "My crew has rights under galactic law." Krell smiled, revealing sharp teeth. "The law is what the Xorelian Empire says it is." He nodded to his soldiers. They'd brought forward a machine with clear tubes and needles. Inside the tubes, a bright blue liquid glowed. Dr. Aaron Miller recognized the Andorian refugees huddled in the corner. Their eyes were wide with fear. Selleck mouthed one word: obedience. The Xorelian soldiers grabbed the first crew member, Engineer Kevin Ross. They pushed his arm into the machine. The needle pierced his skin, and the blue liquid flowed into his veins. Kevin's body tensed. Then, strangely, he laughed. "Tickles," he said. "Is that it?" Confusion crossed Krell's face. He barked an order: "Kneel before me." Kevin raised an eyebrow. "I don't think so." Murmurs ran through the Xorelian soldiers. Krell pushed forward, grabbing a female crew member, Communications Officer Patricia Johnson. Again, the blue liquid entered her arm. Again, no effect. "What trick is this?" Krell hissed. He turned to his science officer. "Increase the dose." One by one, the humans received the drug. None showed signs of submission. Dr. Helen Wright, watching carefully, noticed something. After the injection, the blue color faded in their bloodstream, as if something was breaking it down. Krell's anger grew with each failure. "Take them to the testing chambers. All of them." He pointed at Aaron. "This one first. I want to know why the drug fails." Soldiers dragged Aaron to a sterile laboratory on the Xorelian ship. They strapped him to a table and took blood samples. Through a glass wall, he could see other crew members in similar rooms. Hours passed. Aaron's arm ached from repeated needle jabs. Finally, Krell entered with a Xorelian in a science uniform. "Impossible," the scientist was saying. "Their blood destroys the compound. An enzyme we've never seen before." "Can you modify the formula?" Krell demanded. "Perhaps, but it would take time. Their biology is unlike anything in our database." Aaron's scientific curiosity overcame his fear. "What exactly does your drug do?" Both Xorelians looked at him in surprise. "It binds to neural receptors," the scientist said automatically, then caught himself. "Why am I telling you this?" Aaron smiled. "Because I asked. That's how conversations work when you're not controlling minds." Meanwhile, in another lab, Helen had freed herself from loose restraints. The Xorelians had underestimated human flexibility. She slipped to a computer terminal and downloaded data about the drug. In the engine room, Kevin had also escaped. The Xorelians hadn't expected resistance and had posted only one guard, who now lay unconscious. Kevin began rerouting power systems, creating controlled overloads in non-critical areas as distractions. On the bridge, Lisa remained under guard, watching the Xorelians. Their 4 eyes made them excellent multitaskers, but they had a blind spot directly behind them. She worked slowly at the restraints on her wrists. The Andorian refugees, deemed already processed, were largely ignored. Selleck moved among them, whispering, "The humans resist the drug. For the first time, the Xorelians have failed." Hope spread through the Andorians like fire. One of them, a former mechanic, began examining the door controls. In the main laboratory, Krell stared at the test results with disbelief. "One species," he muttered. "One insignificant species threatens everything we've built." The scientist looked nervous. "Sir, if they're immune, and we can't control them." Krell's upper eyes narrowed. Then we must make sure no one ever learns of their existence. He turned to his communication officer. Prepare to destroy the human vessel. Leave no evidence. What Krell didn't realize was that humanity's resistance had already begun, and it was spreading faster than he could possibly contain. Kevin Ross crawled through the narrow maintenance tunnel, sweat dripping down his face. The Xorelian ship's design was strange, but engines were engines, no matter who built them. He reached a junction box and smiled. This would work perfectly. Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Wright hid in a storage closet, analyzing the data she had stolen. The chemical structure of obedience appeared on her small tablet. It was brilliant and terrifying. The drug bound to neural receptors found in almost all known species, bypassing the natural will. But human blood contained an enzyme that broke down the compound before it could take effect. It's like we evolved a defense against it, she whispered to herself. But how? We never encountered it before. The door hissed open. Helen froze, ready to fight. But it was Aaron, with Selleck the Andorian behind him. How did you escape? Helen asked. Kevin created some distractions, Aaron said. Half the ship's systems are malfunctioning. The Xorelians are scrambling to fix them. Selleck looked at Helen's tablet. You have the formula for obedience. Yes, and I think I know how to use our immunity to help others. On the bridge of the Xorelian ship, Commander Krell slammed his fist on a console. Find them. How can primitives cause so much trouble? His communications officer turned. Sir, the human ship is powering up. Someone's on board. Indeed, Captain Lisa Ford had made it back to the Horizon with several crew members and Andorian refugees. She worked quickly at the controls. We need to send a message to Earth, she told Patricia Johnson. They need to know what's happening out here. Patricia nodded. The Xorelians will jam standard channels, but I can modify our signal to piggyback on their own communication network. Back on the Xorelian ship, Aaron, Helen, and Selleck made their way to the main laboratory. Bodies of Xorelian scientists lay unconscious from Kevin's handiwork with the air filtration system. Helen went straight to work. I need blood samples from all of us. The human enzyme can be isolated and replicated. We could create an antidote. Selleck's antennae quivered with hope. An antidote to obedience would free billions. As they worked, the ship rocked violently. Over the intercom, Krell's voice boomed. All troops to battle stations. The human vessel is attempting to flee. Aaron looked up. Lisa's creating a diversion. On the Horizon Lisa dodged enemy fire. The research vessel wasn't built for combat, but she was a skilled pilot. She just needed to keep the Xorelians busy until Patricia completed the transmission. Message is ready, Patricia said. Broadcasting now. The message was simple. Coordinates, details about the Xorelian threat, and information about human immunity. It shot through space, bouncing through the Xorelian network before they could stop it. In the laboratory, Helen held up a vial of pale yellow liquid. It's crude, but it should work. The enzyme breaks down obedience in the bloodstream. Selleck took the vial with trembling hands. The beginning of freedom. The ship shuddered again. Kevin's voice came through on a stolen communicator. Whatever you're doing, hurry up. Krell has ordered the destruction of both ships. He's panicking. Aaron grabbed the formula data. We need to get this to the Horizon **. They ran for the shuttle bay, the precious antidote and formula clutched in their hands. Around them, alarms blared as the Xorelian crew fought multiple system failures caused by Kevin's sabotage. Krell watched on monitors as the small group stole a shuttle. His 4 eyes burned with rage. Shoot them down. No one can know about this. But the shuttle was small and fast. It dodged the larger weapons and sped toward the Horizon *. The message is away, Lisa said as the shuttle docked. Earth knows. Aaron handed her the formula. And we have something better. A way to fight back. As the Horizon *. jumped to hyperspace, escaping the Xorelians, News of human immunity spread across the stars. On hundreds of worlds, enslaved species whispered a new word: hope. 3 months after the escape from the Sorelian ship, Earth's leaders gathered in the Grand Council chamber in Geneva. The mood was tense as Fleet Admiral Olivia Chen presented the latest reports. The Sorelians control over 60% of known space, she said, pointing to a holographic map. Their influence grows daily. They've placed bounties on all humans. President Alan Grant frowned. And our antidote? Dr. Helen Wright stepped forward. We've refined it. The enzyme in human blood that neutralizes obedience can now be synthesized. We've produced enough doses for the first phase of our plan. Aaron Miller, now advisor to the president, added, we've made contact with resistance groups on 12 worlds. They're ready to distribute the antidote. The plan was daring. Small, fast ships would slip past Sorelian patrols, delivering the antidote to resistance fighters. As more beings were freed from mind control, they would join the fight. Across the galaxy, the Sorelians were in panic mode. High Commander Zix summoned Commander Krell to the throne room on Sorelia Prime. You let them escape, Zix said, his voice cold. Now their immunity is known to all. Krell bowed low. My deepest apologies, High Commander. We have increased production of obedience by 300% to strengthen our hold on controlled worlds. Not enough, Zix hissed. Show me the weapon. Krell led Zix to a massive chamber housing a planet-destroying cannon. It's ready, sir. One demonstration will silence any thoughts of rebellion. On the border planet Torellis VII, Captain Lisa Ford's ship, now named Freedom *, arrived with a cargo of antidote. They were met by a blue-skinned Andorian named Thex. We have people ready, Thex whispered as they unloaded the precious vials. Medical workers who can add this to treatment injections. Lisa nodded. Remember, prioritize those in positions of influence. We need to break the chain of command. The plan worked perfectly at first. Across Torellis VII, beings began to wake from their controlled state, confused and angry. The local Sorelian governor noticed too late as his own security forces turned against him. Then the sky lit up. A massive Sorelian warship appeared in orbit. They've found us, Kevin said, checking the sensors. We need to leave now. Lisa hesitated. We can't abandon these people. Patricia Johnson, monitoring communications, suddenly paled. Captain, they're charging some kind of weapon. It's massive. The decision was made for them. Vex pushed them toward their ship. Go. Tell others what happened here. This is bigger than one world. As the Freedom raced away from the planet, a beam of terrible energy shot from the Sorelian warship. Torellis VII cracked like an egg, then exploded into dust. They destroyed an entire planet, Aaron whispered, watching on the view screen. Billions of lives. Lisa's hands gripped the controls tightly. Send the recording to Earth. Everyone needs to see what we're fighting. Back on Earth, the footage of Torellis VII's destruction stunned the Human Defense Council, but it also hardened their resolve. They're scared, Admiral Chen said. They wouldn't resort to such extreme measures if we weren't a real threat. President Grant nodded grimly. Accelerate production of the antidote and prepare our fleet. For the first time in Sorelian history, High Commander Zix addressed all conquered worlds simultaneously. His message was broadcast on every screen across the galaxy. Let this be a warning, he said, showing footage of Torellis VI's destruction. Resistance is futile. Acceptance of Sorelian rule is the only path to survival. What Zix didn't know was that Patricia had hacked into the broadcast. At the end of his message, for just 3 seconds, another image appeared. A simple text in multiple languages. Humans are immune. There is hope. The antidote exists. It was enough. Despite the horror of Torellis VII, resistance cells multiplied overnight. The fight for freedom had truly begun. 6 months into the conflict, the human colony on Europa 9 went silent. No communications, no distress signals. Nothing. Earth sent 3 scout ships to investigate. None returned. We have to assume the worst. Admiral Chen told the Emergency Council. The Corellians have taken Europa 9. Aaron paced the room. But why the colony specifically? There are others closer to Corellian space. Dr. Helen Wright entered the chamber, her face grim. I think I know why. She placed a data chip on the table. Our spies in the Andromeda sector sent this. The Corellians have developed a new version of obedience, designed specifically for humans. The room fell silent. President Grant was the first to speak. Is it effective? We don't know, Helen admitted. That's why they took Europa 9. It's a testing ground. In a laboratory on Europa 9, Corellian scientists worked day and night. Their new formula, Obedience A, had shown promise in simulations. High Commander Zix himself had come to observe the tests. Begin, he ordered. The scientists brought in the first test subject, a human colonist named Paul Gray. His eyes were defiant as they strapped him to a chair. Your resistance is impressive, Zix said, but ultimately futile. The blue liquid, now with a purple tinge, flowed into Paul's veins. He shuddered, his back arching. Then he went limp. Look at me, Zix commanded. Paul raised his head, his eyes now empty. I obey, he said in a flat voice. Zix smiled, his 4 eyes gleaming with triumph. Perfect. But as testing continued, the Corellians discovered a problem. While Obedience H worked on most humans, approximately 30% showed delayed reactions or complete resistance. Explain this failure, Zix demanded. The chief scientist trembled. Humans have unusual genetic diversity, High Commander, more than any species we've encountered. The formula works on most genetic profiles, but some have natural variations in the target receptors. Zix hissed in frustration. Then we need genetic data on all humans. Begin a mapping program immediately. On the other side of the facility, a resistance team led by Dr. Wright had infiltrated the colony. Disguised as maintenance workers, they moved through the air ducts, placing small devices in hidden corners. Are the sensors in place? Helen asked through her comm unit. Almost, Frank Martinez replied. He was a security specialist, formerly of Earth's Special Forces. 2 more to go. The sensors would collect data on the new formula. If they could understand Obedience 8, they might find a weakness. Meanwhile, aboard the Freedom Asterisk, Lisa Ford received a message from Aaron. We've confirmed the worst, Aaron's hologram said. They're testing a human-specific version of the drug, and partially succeeding. Lisa's jaw tightened. We need a new approach. The antidote program is too slow. Dr. Thex and I have been working on something, Aaron replied. A viral vector that could spread human immunity. But it's risky, untested. We're running out of options, Lisa said. How soon can you have it ready? A month, maybe less. On Sorelia Prime, Zix reviewed the genetic data collected from Europa 9. These patterns, he said, pointing to specific sequences, they appear in all resistant subjects. Yes, High Commander, the scientist agreed. If we can target these sequences, we can create a version that works on all humans. Do it, Zix ordered, and prepare for Phase 2. Once we control the humans, we'll use them to distribute the standard obedience to any remaining resistance. Their immunity made them dangerous. Now it will make them the perfect tool. What Zix didn't know was that Helen's team had successfully placed all their sensors. As the Corellians refined their formula, the humans learned its secrets. And deep in Earth's most secure laboratory, Aaron and Dr. Thex worked tirelessly on their viral weapon. Humanity's last hope against the drug that had enslaved the galaxy. The Resistance headquarters on Proxima Centauri's third moon was hidden deep underground. Here, Aaron Miller and Dr. Thex worked day and night on their viral vector. The laboratory hummed with activity as scientists from 7 species pooled their knowledge. It's ready for testing, Aaron said, holding up a clear vial. Inside, A colorless liquid swirled. Dr. Thex's antennae twitched with excitement. How does it work? The virus carries a synthetic version of the human enzyme that breaks down obedience, Aaron explained. Once infected, a person should develop the ability to neutralize the drug. And it spreads through the air? Asked Kevin Ross, who had joined the science team. Aaron nodded. Just like a common cold, one carrier could infect hundreds. Those hundreds infect thousands. On the other side of the lab, Helen reviewed the data from Europa 9. The sensors had revealed the chemical structure of Obedience A before Sorelian forces discovered and destroyed them. The new formula is powerful, she told Lisa Ford, who had arrived with fresh troops. But it has a weakness. It binds less permanently than the original. The effects need reinforcement every few days. Lisa's eyes gleamed. So if we can isolate controlled populations, they'll eventually break free, Helen finished. The good news was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the base. Frank Martinez rushed into the lab. Sorelian fleet incoming. At least 20 warships. How did they find us? Lisa asked. Unknown, but we have minutes at most. Aaron grabbed the viral vector samples. We need to evacuate. This research can't fall into Sorelian hands. As scientists packed essential equipment, Earth defense forces prepared for battle. Their ships were fewer but more maneuverable. They would buy time for the evacuation. The first explosions rocked the moon base. Tunnels collapsed. Lab equipment shattered. In the chaos, Aaron and Thex became separated from the others. This way. Thex called, pulling Aaron into a small transport ship. We can escape through the southern tunnel. As they fled, Aaron saw Sorelian troops swarming the base. The resistance fighters fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. We have to go back, Aaron said. Thex shook his head. With what we carry, we cannot risk capture. Aaron knew he was right. The viral vector was too important. Still, leaving friends behind felt like betrayal. High Commander Zix watched the battle from his flagship. Status report, he demanded. We've captured 60% of the base, his officer replied. Many resistance members escaped, but we found their research. Zix's 4 eyes narrowed. What were they developing? The officer passed him a datapad, a viral agent designed to spread human immunity to obedience. Clever, Zix admitted. But futile. Have we captured the actual virus? No, High Commander. Zix slammed his fist down. Find it, and prepare the doomsday device. If we cannot control the galaxy, we will destroy it. The doomsday device was the Sorelians' ultimate weapon. It could create a chain reaction in the galactic core, triggering supernovas across thousands of star systems. It was their insurance policy. If control failed, destruction would follow. Aboard the small transport ship, Aaron and Thex received the terrible news. The base is lost. Lisa's voice crackled over the comm. Helen and Frank are missing, presumed captured. Kevin is wounded but with me. We have the vector, Aaron reported, but without the distribution network. Head to coordinates 227 to 44891. Lisa interrupted. Earth has authorized Operation Last Hope. The coordinates led to a massive space station hidden in an asteroid field. Ships from all allied species gathered there. What is this place? Thex asked as they docked. A grim-faced Admiral Chen greeted them. Our final stand. We're loading the viral vector onto every available ship. Each will target a different Sorelian-controlled world. A suicide mission, Aaron realized. Chen nodded. Many won't make it, but those that do will release the virus. One successful delivery could save billions. As Aaron looked at the fleet preparing for battle, he understood the stakes. This was humanity's last chance to free the galaxy from Sorelian control, or watch it burn in the fires of Zix's revenge. Operation Last Hope launched with 800 ships scattering in all directions. Each carried precious vials of the viral vector. Each targeted a different world under Sorelian control. Aaron and Dr. Thex, joined Captain Lisa Ford on the Freedom heading for Xorelia Prime itself. Their mission was the most dangerous, to release the virus at the heart of the enemy empire. "We've received reports," Lisa said, studying the incoming data. 37 ships destroyed so far, but over 200 have reached their targets. Aaron felt a mix of hope and sorrow. So many brave souls. Their sacrifice will free billions, Thex reminded him. As they approached Xorelian space, they intercepted disturbing news. The Xorelians had begun moving the Doomsday device to the galactic core. Once positioned, it would trigger a chain reaction of stellar explosions. "How long do we have?" Aaron asked. "Hours at most," Lisa replied grimly. Meanwhile, on worlds where the viral vector had been released, strange reports emerged. Beings under obedience control suddenly stopped following orders. The enzymes spread rapidly through populations, breaking the drug's hold over minds. On the planet Trellis, an entire Xorelian garrison found itself facing a population suddenly freed from control. On Betelgeuse IV, factory workers producing obedience awoke from their mental slavery and destroyed the facilities. High Commander Zix received the reports with growing horror. "It's happening too quickly. How many worlds have been affected?" "Over 60, High Commander," his officer replied shakily, "and spreading exponentially." "Accelerate the Doomsday Protocol," Zix ordered. "We will not lose what we've built over centuries." Aboard the Freedom Kevin Ross worked frantically to modify their ship's signature. "If we appear as a Xorelian supply vessel, we might get close enough." Their disguise worked. They slipped past the outer defenses of Xorelia Prime and entered the atmosphere. Below them spread the vast capital city of the Empire. There, Thex pointed to a massive central structure, the Atmospheric Processing Center. "If we release the vector there, it will spread across the entire planet within hours." As they approached, alarm sirens blared. Their disguise had failed. "We've been spotted," Lisa warned, maneuvering the ship through defensive fire. "I'll get us as close as possible. The rest is up to you." The Freedom took heavy damage as Lisa brought it directly over the processing center. Aaron and Thex prepared to release the vector. "Now," Lisa shouted. Aaron pulled the emergency release. Thousands of tiny canisters dropped from the ship, each containing the viral agent. They burst open above the facility, releasing an invisible cloud of humanity's gift to the galaxy: freedom from obedience. The ship rocked violently as enemy fire found its mark. Systems failed across the board. "We're going down," Kevin called from the engine room. "Brace for impact." The Freedom crashed in a plaza near the central government buildings. Amazingly, the crew survived. They crawled from the wreckage to find themselves surrounded by Xorelian troops. "Surrender," the commander ordered. They had no choice. They were brought before High Commander Zix himself in his throne room. "You have caused me great inconvenience," Zix said coldly. "But you are too late. The Doomsday device is already activating." "You'll die too," Aaron pointed out. "A worthy sacrifice to punish those who defied us." But even as he spoke, something strange happened. One of his guards dropped his weapon. Then another. Across the room, Xorelians began to blink in confusion. "What's happening?" Zix demanded. Aaron smiled. "The virus works on Xorelians too. You've been dosing yourselves with obedience for centuries, haven't you? To ensure loyalty among your own kind." Zix's 4 eyes widened in horror as he felt his own mental bonds breaking. Memories long suppressed by the drug flooded back: who they had been before obedience, what they had done to countless species. "What have we become?" he whispered. Across the galaxy, freedom swept like wildfire. The Doomsday device was deactivated by newly awakened Xorelian scientists. Ships sent to crush the rebellion turned back as their crews broke free from control. A new age had begun, all because one species, humans, had proven immune to the drug that enslaved the galaxy.